In recent weeks, Iranian proxy groups have significantly ramped up their attacks on U.S. forces stationed in Iraq and Syria.
And you pointed out that there have been 66 attacks by Iranian-backed militia groups on U.S. coalition forces since October 17th. Why aren't these U.S. counterstrikes working as a deterrence strategy?
Well, I would push back on that. I know 66 is a high number, but again, we have days sometimes where we don't have attacks. So is it like, would you say that the strategy is not working if one day goes by where there's not an attack on U.S. forces? I'm not saying that that's the way to caveat it, but what I am saying is that we don't want to see this conflict widen out. We will respond when we feel at the time and place of our choosing that we need to respond. We have 3 times already. We did again last night. I wouldn't say that, again, it's not working. I would say that we are being very deliberate in our strikes and what we target. These groups, while have inflicted some minor damage to infrastructure, right now we are seeing non-serious injuries, minor damage to infrastructure in comparison to weapons facilities being destroyed, a command and control center node being leveled, and so again, and another, and a training facility also destroyed. So again, if you look at this, the scope and the ability for us to respond, we've been very precise and have inflicted a lot of damage.
This surge follows the recent U.S. elections and has raised concerns about the stability of the region. Since October 7, 2023, following the Hamas attack on Israel, Iranian-backed militias have launched over 170 attacks against U.S. troops. These assaults are largely seen as retaliation for America's support of Israel during the ongoing conflict in Gaza.
Talking about those attacks, Senator Wicker asked you how many had occurred since October 7th. What was that number?
Number of attacks in Iraq and Syria, or where?
I think he asked Iraq and Syria.
Iraq and Syria is approximately 175.
Okay.
173.
And how many times since October 7th have we struck Iran proxy positions in Iraq and Syria?
I believe it is 8.
That doesn't seem like a very good balance, 173 to 8. What's up with that?
I think when we strike, we aim what we are hitting at. The last strike that we did, we hit 85 targets, and we killed them. We waited, and then we killed their top commander for Syria from Kataib Hezbollah.
Unfortunately, though, it wasn't just attacks on October 7th and since. Do you know the number of attacks from January 20th, 2021 to last October 7th?
I don't have the number, but it's up there, Senator.
Would it surprise you that Secretary Austin testified to this committee last year that it was 83 attacks?
That would not surprise me.
And how many retaliatory strikes had we launched in those 2 years and 9 months?
Don't have the exact number at the tip of my fingers.
You testified that it was 4. Would that surprise you?
That would not surprise me.
Again, not a very good balance, if you ask me.
The Pentagon has confirmed that these groups have used drones and other means to target bases housing U.S. personnel, with a notable incident occurring at Al Asad Air Base just last week. The timeline is alarming. From drone strikes to rocket fire, these attacks have become a regular occurrence. In fact, just last week, 2 armed drones targeted Al Asad Air Base. One was shot down by American forces, while the other caused minimal damage upon impact. We remain vigilant and prepared for any further threats. Our response to these attacks has included intercepting drones and conducting airstrikes against militia targets. Despite a temporary lull in hostilities after a series of U.S. retaliatory strikes earlier this year, experts warned that this pause may not last long. The Iranian regime continues to send strong messages through its proxies, indicating that they are ready for further confrontations. Iranian leaders, including officials from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, have made it clear that they view these attacks as part of their broader strategy against U.S. influence in the region. Ali Fadavi, a senior IRGC commander, stated that Iran and the resistance front are ready, signaling ongoing hostilities. In addition to ground assaults in Iraq and Syria, Iranian influence extends into maritime conflicts as well. Houthi rebels from Yemen have been launching missiles at U.S. Navy ships and commercial vessels in the Red Sea, complicating an already tense situation. The Iranian strategy relies heavily on proxy warfare to exert influence while avoiding direct confrontation with U.S. forces. This allows them plausible deniability while still pushing their agenda. As we continue to monitor this developing situation, it's clear that both U.S. military personnel and regional allies face increasing risks from these coordinated attacks by Iranian proxies. The implications for international security are profound. Thank you for joining us for this special report on the rising tensions in the Middle East due to Iranian proxy actions against U.S. forces. Stay tuned for further updates as this situation unfolds.